Welcome back, everyone. Well, I'm just enjoying a lovely hot day here outside, and I wanted to go over a few books that I'm really interested in that I'll be reading and looking through this summer. I thought I haven't done one of these videos in a while. Some of you may be looking for ideas for books to read during the summer. So let's get into it. This little chickadee singing at me right there. So the first book that I'm really excited to start reading, it's called The Place of Tides. It's something that's totally different from what I've read before. The author, James, it's sort of an autobiographical novel. Basically what it is, it's about, he's a farmer in the UK, and he kind of goes through a bit of a midlife crisis, or he just sort of feels I don't know, hopeless in the world and things like that. So he visits, I don't know if it's through his work or just, on vacation, he goes and visits Norway and goes and explores sort of the really remote northern areas of Norway where there are these little islands right there. And on those little islands are a group of women that basically harvest eider down. So that's the down from eider ducks, and that's one of the best insulators out there. So these women are caretakers of wild eider duck populations. They protect them from predators, they watch them on their nests, and then when the eiders have had their babies, they sort of go back out to sea and they harvest the eider down. And so it's kind of a lonely, isolating kind of job, but it's been the job these women have done since time immemorial. It's sort of in their DNA. So it's a really, really interesting book. He goes and spends some time with one of the women there named Anna. So I'm just getting into it, but I'm really excited because I think it gives him a whole new perspective on life, going out there and living in some of these most remote areas and doing something that's so connected to the land. So this is I'm really excited. I'm, quarter of the way through already, and it's just such a captivating book. I'm really excited to continue on. And it's really nothing I've really heard about, how the traditional harvesting of, eider down has taken place and all these kinds of things. So it's kind of going to be a very educational book for me, and also probably very transformative as well. So check it out, The Place of Tides, written by James Rebanks. So this next book is going to be kind of a field guide, and kind of an unusual field guide at that. It's a field guide to mosses. So I've really gotten on to trying to document all the different species by the cabin. And one of the things that's just totally, I see them all the time, but I really don't know how to characterize them or describe them very well or identify them. So I thought I'd help myself out. And then I got this mosses field guide. It's a Princeton field guide, so it's really good. To the common mosses. This is of the Northeast and the Appalachians. So this would be, if you're in this area of Canada and the US, that's what this book covers. There are others obviously for different locations, but I really like it. There's a lot of pictures and very visual. So, there's a lot of different pictures of the mosses, and it describes them very thoroughly. I have a few other moss books, but this one is really good. There's drawings, there's things that, these are the similar species, kind of like in a mushroom book. And there's also a good bit of education in the front, kind of going through all the different types of mosses and things like that. For those of us that are kind of new to identifying them, it's so challenging, birds and trees and plants, I'm getting there. Especially with the plants, but mosses, wow, it's a whole new ball game. So I'm really glad there's a lot of good literature sort of at the front of the book, discussing how to look at it, how to measure it, and then going into the different categories of the mosses. And they have them kind of in little colored tabs right here. So it's a very comprehensive book, very portable. You can kind of put it in your pack when you're poking around, or just take pictures and come back later and take a look at it. But I just thought I'd show you guys this. This is not something that's really common that people kind of buy and have in their on their bookshelf, but worth having if you're interested in the mosses that you see every day. I should mention that Robin Wall Kimmerer, the author of Sweetgrass, also did a book on mosses, and it's also really good too. So if you're looking for more like a novel versus a field guide, that may be a book for you. So if you're looking for a book of short stories, you're kind of short on time, you just want to read a few short stories, I've got a book for you. This book is a Canadian book written by George Clark, right there. It's called The Ghost of Nakawak, Portage. And so there's lots of little short stories in here. If you're interested in the outdoors, 19th century New Brunswick, the stories of the lumbermen and things like that, there's a lot of great stories in here. For example, there's one right here, King of the North Woods. And got little pictures in there and stuff like that too. This was written in 1930, and it starts off by saying, among the hemlocks and spruces on the crest of Sugarloaf, I was at Sugarloaf Park last year, one of the highest peaks in the wilderness of central New Brunswick, an enormous bull moose awaited the coming of night. Already the sun had dipped behind the rugged escarpment of Lawrence Peak, and over the vast and dreaming landscape brooded a silence as profound and deep as death itself. Such a silence as must have followed the birth of creation before man or his wild kindred has taken from. Slowly the great moose turned his ponderous head with his magnificent spread of antlers and gazed southward with his small, deep-set eyes to where a mile distant the Keswick Deadwater wound its course. Deadwater wound. Oh my God. Try that again. The Keswick Deadwater wound its course between the wide barren. He was hungry, but with the patience characterizing all wildlife, the king of the North Woods restrained his immediate desire to feast his fill of the juicy lily roots that grew in the soft mud of the Deadwater. So he has a way with words, let me tell you. So that's really cool. There's lots of really great stories in here. You know, the way to understanding, you see is about some men in a canoe there. So if you're into the outdoors and you're interested in Canadian, you know, Canadian books, this one strongly recommended. You know, you just pick it up, read a story, and put it back and come back to it later. So it's really good. Yeah, George Clark is a born storyteller. This book does not disappoint. The next book I'll be reading after The Place of Tides is by Katrina Vermette, and it's called The Real Ones. Now, she is a Canadian Métis author, which is really exciting. She is from Winnipeg, Manitoba. So it's a short little book, well written from what I've started to read so far. And it's about two sisters. One is an artist and one is a professor at a university. And what happens is their mother gets called out as a pretendian. And there's a ton of online backlash and media fallout from that. And their world is basically turned upside down and leaving them questioning everything and having to deal with the lies their mother told. So the book explores identity and who has the right to call themselves Métis and who does not. But it ends up being a very hopeful story, I'm told. So I'll have to let you know what I think. But I'm pretty excited to read this. This will be my next on the list. Well, that's my reading list for the summer. What are you guys reading? Let me know down below in the comments. I'm always open for really cool books and things to read. Have a great week. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.